Welcome to Soccer's in Session Live. Had a bit of a 40-minute break to send out some emails and get everything squared away. Soccer's in Session Live presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente for all that is you. Over the next 60 minutes, what we're going to do, we're going to see who drops by. And I mean that in the most honest sense possible, because what I do is turn this into basically a party line. And I send a note to a lot of coaches. And it's like, okay, if you can make it, great. We're going to be here. And so when a coach pops in, we'll talk. We'll talk about the program. And then if another coach comes in, then we'll say goodbye to the first coach, and maybe they'll go get a meal, and maybe they'll go get a nap or whatever. In the case of Ben Grassmeyer at North Oconee, I think he's needing a nap after beating Stars Mill last night. And by the way, props to Grassmeyer and Kalen Pinckney from Woodville Tompkins, who came on the morning show this morning to break everything down from their perspectives as Woodville Tompkins gets ready for their match tonight. And we'll go over the grids for what happened with the girls, what's going to happen with the boys, and we'll lay out everything that we know and everything that we anticipate today with your quarterfinals, getting ready for the semifinals Thursday and Friday. We will have matches on the SDH network on Thursday. We have an idea as to where we want to go on Thursday. And so we plan on, when we know, we'll let you know. But once again, it comes down to getting permission from our friends at the Georgia High School Association as to what we can broadcast on a daily basis tonight, after being in Jefferson last night. And it was a great crowd. First and foremost, thanks to Coach Navis, the athletic director at Jefferson, for letting us come and hang out. And they were great. They put a table up on the roof of the press box with some chairs, access to electricity, which is always it's important. And we were up there, and it was great. So always tried to find a way to try and get to Jefferson. We finally did. And we were there for Jefferson and Northgate last night. Jefferson got the win 2-0. If you missed it on the network, on the app, go to Spreaker.com. If you don't have the SDH app, if you're not a plus one from like way back, SDH app still exists on Android. And if you don't have it that way, go to Spreaker, which is our host for the app. It's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker. Do a search for Soccer Down Here. Download the Spreaker app. Follow Soccer Down Here. We posted a goals recap and the post-game show from last night as we were trying to figure out who was going to be going where on the girls' side, what matchups we were still missing, and what finals we were getting as we were going. So we found out in real time a lot of the information, but we also had Coach McCarty. A couple of players came up like immediately after the celebration in the middle of the field at the Jefferson Memorial Turf. They came up, kicked off the post-game show, which was fantastic, and got to hang out with them for a little bit. But once again, shout out to everybody at Jefferson. Fantastic crowd for both Jefferson and Northgate. Jefferson got the win, and they advance, and they're going to be taking on GHSA on the left-hand side of the bracket. We'll go over brackets and finals from yesterday coming up in just a little bit, and we'll take you into brackets today, what to expect today. What to expect on the network is 6:15 pregame show, and you can catch it in a couple of different ways. If you believe in the web, you can go to our Mixlr channel on the World Wide Web and on your laptops and desktops. You can go right here, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. So you can follow along on the web there, or you can download the Mixlr app. Mixlr word is right there. So you can download the Mixlr app, and what you can do, let me show you on my phone as to what it can look like. So you download, you go to your phone, go to the Mixlr app, and I'm going to try and do this to where it's not blinding or shining and blocking everything. So here is the SDH app on Mixlr, and this is our Mixlr channel on mixlr.com. You can download the Mixlr app, And then when you know that there's a broadcast up, you'll get a notification if you follow us. And then you can, every single time that we have something going on, whether it's high school, MLS Next Pro, anything else that's coming across, then you'll get notifications, and then you can listen to it there on the Mixlr app, or you can listen to it online right there at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. And you can follow us every single day of the year when we've got live games and live events and live action right there on Mixlr. So soccerdownhere.mixlr.com or the Mixlr app. Make sure you follow Soccer Down Here, and then anytime there's an event that pops up, notification triggers, you'll get a note on your phone, and then you can just go ahead and dial into the match. So that's the easiest way to catch up with everything on Mixlr. So soccerdownhere.mixlr.com and Soccer Down Here on the Mixlr app. Friday will be a very special day for us here at the network. And we'll let you know that as we get closer to Friday, which is semifinals Friday. But once again, 6:15, Madison Cruz and I will have your pregame show from McIntosh. Dalton and McIntosh on the air. Kickoff 6:30 shortly thereafter. Jason and Jessica Charman will have the call. Maddie and I will have your pre-half and post. It'll be the cast of thousands, and we'll get you ready for what's going on there with Dalton and McIntosh tonight. It is low left in your brackets as you follow along, and if you're starting to write things in pen. So there it is right there for you, and it'll be a great way to get your day going here when it comes to quarterfinals Tuesday, this time on the boys' side in the GHSA playoffs. So yesterday, and it was a very busy day yesterday. Let's go through all the finals on the girls' side and get you ready for semifinals Thursday on the girls' side. We'll start Class A D1 girls and let you know that East Lawrence and Social Circle, upper left-hand side, as we caught up with Coach Richardson from Social Circle yesterday. That matchup is today. So it was pushed back. So East Lawrence at Social Circle today. Winner of that one will get Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon, no problems with Metter winning that one 6-0. So Mount Vernon, who is the number 3 team in Region 6, depending on who wins, might have to travel. They will have to travel because Lawrence is a Team 1 out of Region 2, and Social Circle is your region champ out of Region 5. Mount Vernon coming through as the 3 seed out of Region 6. So Mount Vernon travels to the winner of East Lawrence and Social Circle in Class A D1. Atlanta International beat Lamar County in penalties, 2-2 after 80, 2-2 after 90, 2-2 after 100. They go to PKs. Atlanta International beat Lamar County in Barnesville, and Atlanta International advances, and they will travel to Paideia because, once again, remember, like seeds, you go down the bracket. Bottom team in the bracket is your home side. So Paideia, no problem with Bleckley County, shuts out the Royals, and so Atlanta International and Paideia on the right-hand side, left-hand side, Mount Vernon will travel Thursday right now, pending a change of timing or anything like that. But Thursday, it is Mount Vernon traveling to the winner of East Lawrence and Social Circle. Class A D2 girls. Aquinas shuts out Portal by the final of 4-0. Aquinas will get the home match because they are number 2 team in their bracket upper left, and they will play Towns County. Towns County won in Hawkinsville in PKs. So Towns County, who came in as the 3 team in their bracket, will travel once again. So it's Hiwassee to Augusta this time, not quite Hiwassee to Hawkinsville, but Towns County will travel from Towns County to take on Aquinas on the left-hand side of the bracket in Class A D2. Right-hand side, it is Lake Oconee Academy who beat Wheeler County by the final of 6-1, and they will travel to Atlanta Classical. Atlanta Classical beat Johnson County 3-0. So it is once again like seeds, Team 1 and Team 1, Area 3 and Area 4. Lake Oconee Academy travels to Atlanta Classical. That's the right-hand side of your brackets in Class A D2. Girls side, it is Ace Charter and Landmark Christian. That one does not have a result, so let me double-check and see if that one is actually today as well, or if that one was played and we're looking for a result. So Landmark Christian School was playing Ace Charter yesterday, and so looking at the calendar, we'll see if we can find out what's going on with athletics and the athletic calendar here. So let me double check and see if we've got anything I don't want May the 4th. We're not into May yet. I need April. So nothing registered. So we'll see if our friends at Max Preps can give us an answer as to what happened with Ace Charter and with Landmark Christian. And so today, got a handful of games that are going on. Most of them are in GHSA or the GIAA. And Ace and Landmark is tonight. It is at 6 o'clock. So Ace and Landmark Christian is tonight. And that one is, once again, 6 o'clock. So 2 girls' matches did not happen yesterday. They're happening today. East Lawrence Social Circle, Ace Charter, and Landmark Christian 12, 4, and 2 is at 8, 5, and 1. The winner of that one, Ace Charter and Landmark, both number 1 seeds, but they're going to Fellowship anyway. Fellowship shuts out Pierce County by the final of 4-0. So the winner of Ace and Landmark Christian goes to Fellowship. Right-hand side, Model beat Savannah Arts Academy 3-1 in Model. They're going to have to travel to Mount Perrin, who beat Fitzgerald 4-2. So great season for the Purple Hurricane comes to an end on the girls' side. Mount Perrin Christian, as the Region 6 champ, is going to host Model, and Model is the winner there at 3-1 over Savannah Arts. They will travel once again as a top seed. They will go down to Mount Perrin Christian. So that is your matchups in the semifinals on Thursday. For AAA, Pike County loses to Dawson County 3-2. Game finished 10-9, and Dawson County was down 2-0. And after the red cards for the players, after a skirmish, Pike County had a 2-0 lead in Zebulon. Dawson County came back to win at 3-2. So Dawson County advances as the 3 team out of Region 7. They're going to travel to Oconee County, who beat Savannah Country Day by the final of 1-0. Wesleyan scored 9. 10 in round 1, 7 in round 2, 9 in round 3. 26 goals in the playoffs alone. And so Wesleyan, as the top seed out of Region 7, they're going to travel to Columbus. Columbus beat Bremen 2-1 in Columbus in overtime. So Columbus is going to host Wesleyan on the right-hand side of the bracket. Quad A girls, Perry and Lovett. Lovett won that one at Kirkpatrick 6-0. And so Lovett advances. They're going to travel to Cherokee Bluff. Same score, Cherokee Bluff over Whitewater. So Cherokee Bluff hosts Lovett on the left-hand side. North Oconee over Stars Mill 2-1. We caught up with Ben Grassmeyer in the morning show. So you can go back and catch that interview once the show is posted. And you can catch us also on Twitch for a replay. So North Oconee beat Stars Mill at the death 2-1. And North Oconee is going to travel to Westminster, rematch of last year's title game. Westminster beat LaGrange 5-1. So at Fritz Orr Field, North Oconee and Westminster, that one is on Thursday. 5A girls, Northside Columbus loses to GAC. GAC with the big shutout, and GAC is going to travel to Jefferson. GAC goes to Jefferson Memorial Turf after Jefferson beat Northgate 2-0 in a battle of, in some polls, 1-2. Both teams top 5. Same's going to happen again. GAC and Jefferson on the second. And on the right-hand side of the bracket, McIntosh, 3-1 winners at home against Loganville. McIntosh is going to travel to Cambridge. Cambridge shut out Greenbrier by the final of 4-0. Greenbrier had scored 19 goals in their first 2 matchups in wins over Arabia Mountain and Harris County. They hosted Cambridge, and Cambridge came in with the win 4-0. So right-hand side, once again in 5A, it is McIntosh and Cambridge. 6A girls, left-hand side of the bracket, Lassiter at the Frank beat St. Pius by the final of 2-1. And so Lassiter is going to travel as the number 3 team out of Region 7. They're going to travel to Roswell. Roswell beat North Atlanta 3-1. It was 3-0. North Atlanta scored, and they had to navigate the final 20-plus minutes or so with a 2-goal lead. Roswell winners 3-1. So Lassiter at Roswell at Ray Maina Stadium on semifinals Thursday. And Roswell, they had beaten Creekview 4-1 in round 1 as the number 2 seed out of Region 7. Went to Mount Airy, beat Hab Central 3-1, beat North Atlanta 3-1, so they get to stay at home with Ray Manus. Lassiter as the number 3 seed out of Region 7, beat River Ridge in round number 1, beat Alexander in round number 2, beat Pius last night. And so it is Lassiter traveling to Roswell on the left-hand side of the bracket. Pope and Marist went to PKs, and it went to the 6th frame in penalties before Marist came out with a win 5-4. 2-2 after 80, 90, and 100 minutes. They go to PKs. Marist is going to host Johns Creek. Johns Creek, as a 4 seed, has come all the way through, and they beat Allatoona in the round 1, 4-0, beat Gainesville 3-0, shut out Riverwood 5-0. So it is 3, 4, and 5. That is 12, if my math is correct. So 12 goals, none allowed for Johns Creek. Johns Creek travels to Marist in 6A. And in 7A on the girls' side, it is Walton over Campbell 4-1. Walton travels to Buford, who beat Hillgrove 2-0. On the right-hand side of the bracket, North Gwinnett. Winners over Harrison 2-1. And they will travel to West Forsyth. West Forsyth beat North Paulding by the final of 3-1. And that gets us to our first coach. We've talked about girls. Let's talk about what's going on with Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul, welcome to the noon show. Have we distracted you from lunch or classroom? What are we doing?
Oh no, I'm on lunch break now. Just kind of waiting around on game time. I got about 20 more minutes of lunch and 30 more minutes of teaching, and then I'll be just getting ready for our game this afternoon or this evening. So, you're a very good distraction. Let's just say that.
Cool. The head boys coach at Morgan County High School dropping by for the first time this year. And for Morgan County, what has this meant to the community making this run that you guys have made here? You've got the home game. Oconee County's traveling down from Watkinsville for those filling things out in Penn. It's upper right-hand corner. And so what's it like for Morgan County so far?
It's been great. This is the second time we've made it to the Elite Eight in 4 years. We made a pretty good run in 21, and that was our first Elite Eight appearance. And then we've been Sweet 16 since then. That's kind of been our minimum set here the last few years, is making it to that second round. And it seemed like our second round was kind of that hump that we always had to continue to get over. And then, we poured everything into it trying to, we've hosted Peach County. We've played them 3 out of the last 4 years in the second round, and we beat them one time. They beat us another time. And then this time we were able to beat them last week to get back to the Elite Eight. And so it's been great. It's been phenomenal. I've only got 3 seniors this year on the team, so we're really young. And those 3 guys were on our team in 21 as freshmen when we made it to the Elite Eight for the first time. And so there's a lot of excitement. And with us hosting Oconee County, they're just 25 minutes up the road. There is a lot of crossover between my kids.
Oh, somebody's trying to call him. What do you want to bet somebody was trying to call Aaron?
Between both programs, and it's always been very competitive and a rivalry for us, and luckily it's close, so Oconee doesn't have to travel that far.
What kind of a crowd are you expecting there tonight with everybody knowing what this rivalry is and the Mother Nature, who is always undefeated? What kind of crowd are you anticipating?
We're playing it at 7:30. Our goal was to play it at night, to give people time to get home, get some food in their stomach and turn around and come back to the game here. And I know Oconee wanted to play late too, because they always travel very well. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a very packed house. I don't know if you've ever been to Bill Corey Stadium down here in Madison, but we've got a lot of stands that go along both sides of the stadium. So sometimes you can get fooled on the number of people that are there. But we have a big soccer community down here. It's been really fun. We have a lot of support. We have a club team in town. We have a middle school program that is very successful, and a lot of people go to those games. And I've been doing this for 10 years at Morgan. And so, we've got good relationships with a lot of people, and a lot of I think the greatest thing for me as a coach is when I have former players. And in fact, when I was logging on to talk to you, one of my former players who's in college at the University of Alabama sent me a good luck text. And, former players will text and call and FaceTime me when the game's over tonight to, if they can't be at the game, to, congratulate us or just talk about the game. And I think it's just really been cool.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I wanted to get into with your discussion here. Ryan Burkhart from North Gwinnett on the girls' side coming up. He's in the on-deck circle. Another couple of minutes here with Aaron Paul. So let me ask you this. For those who've never seen you play, I've been there for the American Football Fridays. You mentioned what it's like on a football Friday, an FUTB.
Yeah, I coach football too, so I'm there on Friday nights for football.
And so I know what that kind of an environment is like. For someone who has not seen you play, when things are going well for you offensively and defensively, how would you break down how things are rolling for you for someone who hasn't seen you play?
Fast, technical. We like to kind of keep our foot on the gas the whole time and stay aggressive in our attack. And we want to really just try to move the ball and do what we do and work it to the corners and cross it in. And we want to try to put pressure on the other team, whether it's taking shots, sending in a lot of crosses and putting pressure on their defense, or if we are on defense, we want to challenge every 50-50. We want to attack every pass. We want to challenge every throw in, and we want to make the other team work for their possession and work for their shots.
All right. Let me on Georgia Public. Let me do this. My last question for you as you get ready for Oconee County tonight here in AAA. When Hannah Gooden and I talk about recruiting and talk with coaches, there is a segment that we have at Georgia Public Broadcasting, and I'm going to borrow it here on SDH. It's called Make That Kid an Offer. And for whatever reason, the student athlete is either they're too whatever. They're too small. They're too, they're not technical enough. Their grades aren't high enough or whatever. They're too whatever. And they're not getting the looks that you think they should get when it comes to playing the sport at the next level. Is there anyone on your roster that plays the way that you do, that is the personification of Morgan County, that would be the absolute person where you're sit there and you're yelling from a megaphone on top of the stands there at the school, make this kid an offer, you will not be sorry? Would anyone in your program fit that moniker?
I think if you find me on Twitter, one of my players, number 7, Teddy Young, is a guy who is a junior. He has led our region in goals, and I think he led the region in assists this year, but he plays wingback most of the time for us. He plays defense, and he's a kid that we move all over the field. He goes to a ton of ID camps. He plays on high-level club. He is always competing. He's a great student. He's a tremendous athlete, and Teddy Young for us, number 7, is a guy. He wants to play college soccer. That is his goal, is he wants to go to the next level and compete and get an education. And I had a guy a few years ago who played. His name was Yusuf Beg. He was on one of our state championship basketball teams. He played center back for us. He played center back at Georgia Southern soccer for 5 seasons. And so, as a teacher and a coach, I want my guys to continue their education, but also do it in a way where they can play the sport that they love. Or so many of my former players are now soccer coaches. They want to be involved in it. But Teddy's a guy that I think needs to get some looks, in my opinion. He's definitely one of those guys.
Definitely. So thanks for letting us borrow the Make That Kid an Offer from Georgia Public. Oconee County at Morgan County, upper right in your brackets. Class A boys tonight. I know it's going to be a fantastic crowd. Coach, I think I've burned half of your lunch. Go get a sandwich.
Okay.
Catch your breath. Be good. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great crowd and a great match tonight. Thanks for coming on the noon show.
Yes, sir. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Aaron Paul. He's part of Morgan County, the head coach of the boys program, an assistant football coach. Very, very cool stuff. All right, hot tag as we talk about here on the show. And it is time, and he's continuing his run. You know, it's like he was on Tuesday with Jason in the quarters, or in the previous round. Gets through the quarters, and so we bring in Ryan Burkhart, who is not currently at North Gwinnett High School.
No, playing hooky today. No, you're getting the full access behind the scenes here. I'd say right before school let out yesterday, our 18-month-old son had to come home from daycare with a fever. So I'd like you to use your phrase you just used. I got the hot tag today to stay home with him, so my wife could, do her job and work. And then Grandma's coming in for the save at 2:00, so I can go ahead to practice.
There you go. Yeah, you made the call to the bullpen.
Bullpen at 2:00.
So 7A girls last night as we bounce around in our brackets. And if we go once again, we're dealing with upper rights today when it comes to our brackets so far. You got to kind of listen into Aaron Paul a little bit with their matchup with Morgan County and Oconee County coming up on the boys' side. Girls' side, North Gwinnett played Harrison last night. I know that you are intimately familiar with this matchup. And it was another one where it was another grinder, but you end up on top. You get the win 2-1. You knew going into this matchup just what Harrison was bringing to the table. Let's go 40 minutes at a time. First 40 minutes, what's running through your mind in that matchup, and take me through the first 40 and what it was like for you there.
Just from the video we watched, we to me, this was one of the most impressive offensive teams I'd seen. And again, you take a lot of guesses sometimes, but my guess was that their best defense was that they're so good at offense. So not to take nothing away from their defenders, because they were incredible players as well, but I just thought they probably don't spend a lot of time having to defend. So using a completely outdated reference that they didn't get, I kind of just so the adults in the room got it, but I just was saying, we need to be Rocky today. So the first 40 minutes we were Rocky. We were just taking haymakers and
well, Rocky 1 or Rocky 2? Were you waiting for Mickey to sit there and go now, and then you go lefty? What was it?
So probably 1. Yeah. Just waiting. We knew we had, we're going to get 5 to 10 opportunities is kind of what we hoped. And we got to do it clinically. We got to counterattack clinically. We just kind of knew that it's not like we were just giving them the ball or giving them possession, but the first 40 minutes has kind of played out like we thought. They had the ball most of the time. The play probably originated in the midfield mostly. They built up onto our half really well. But we were keeping them out of what we were doing a pretty good job of keeping them from doing what they wanted to do and what they do well, which is a lot of things, but what we think that they did best. And I'd say the mistake that we probably made that we hopefully fixed at halftime was we were playing way too low. And so I told them that we need to play this compact style of defense, but I don't care where we start defending. So I think that they were a little confused about that we wanted to sit back and let them have possession on their whole half. And that's not what we wanted. So we kind of tried to fix that in the second half. But the first half, they did, we fell asleep for 1 second and they scored. I mean, that's how they got theirs, on exactly what we knew that they wanted to do and what they do really well. But I mean, that's what great players do. You give them one little inch and they hit it, and it was a goal, and it was a nice goal, and it's what they do really well. And in true fashion, I thought our best 5 or 10 minutes of the first half was right after they scored. We had a couple opportunities around their goal. We had a good cross that we got a head to. We just didn't really put it on frame. And I don't, at halftime, I'd like to sit here and say we made all these amazing adjustments, but we just kind of reiterated the game plan again. We did sort of tell them that we needed to press higher up the field. We needed to put the ball in these particular places when we're counterattacking, because we weren't. Mm-hmm. And I kind of the joke was, I was like, y'all, it's 1-0 at halftime. We got them right where we want them. This is exactly where we want to be. So the goal, we scored the equalizer with 12 or 13 minutes left in the game. Just exactly what we described. They had possession. They got a little bit too high in one little area. And when we turned them over, we hit a pass into that area, and then one more pass in behind, and one of our junior forwards just finished it really well. And then we got a PK with 25 seconds left. Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wesley, our another talented sophomore, which obviously you got to watch play, left no doubt, finished it really well.
When you have something happen that late, were there any messages brought in, any conversations or anything like that? Or are you just trying to make sure to calm the room down because of the gravity of the situation and something like that? Because I know that something that has that much pressure attached at that moment that could, swing a season to a complete and total positive. I mean, it affects different people different ways. I mean, were there any messages sent in? Was there conversation, or was it just like, nope, let him go, and we trust him, and what's going to happen is going to happen?
So, sort of those last 20 seconds, like the PK time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I talked to you a little bit about this last week, about how you try to let the girls and the players do as much leading as possible. So we don't have a specific PK taker. I've had teams where, and a lot of teams, I'd say more often than not, they have their PK taker. They know exactly who it is. It doesn't matter who gets the foul. It's this girl or guy. And we don't really have that this year. We've kind of just let whoever wins it take it. But the freshman Ariana Michelle won the PK, and I 100% knew she would not want to take it. That's not her forte yet. She'll get there, but she just was okay. Let's let someone else have it. And I just kind of said, I kind of put my hands up. I was like, who's taking it? And most of the girls started, advocating for Wes. So we just let Wesley have it. So, I wasn't really nervous. The referees made me more nervous than anything because he didn't immediately point to the spot. And I think from everybody in the stadium, it looked like a pretty clear PK. I don't think there was of course there was some argument from the other side, but it looked, the keeper completely took out the forward and Ariana. And then, so he stopped the clock and he went to go over to talk to his AR and again, behind the curtain, he mentioned to us after the game, he knew it was a PK. He just wanted to confirm the AR didn't see anything different. And so, he pointed to the spot. So that honestly, I wasn't so much worrying about who was taking it at first, because I was losing my mind about, are you really not about to call that PK? I thought I was over there talking about, is it a PK? And they were discussing that. And, in the end, he told me, there wasn't really a discussion. He was going to call it. But, I was really proud of the moment of looking back. Obviously, she made it, but I was proud of them sort of delegating that themselves. It's obviously very tense when she steps up to the spot, but I need to actually talk to her about that today. I don't know if she was going that way the whole time or if she sent the keeper the wrong way, because the keeper did kind of dive one way right away, and so I don't know if she changed her mind as she was stepping up or if she was always going that way.
Do you practice? Do you have the players that want to take PKs? Is practicing PKs, is that a regular section of practice on any given?
It's just fun, and you're going to get 5 or 10 PK. Other than a PK shootout, you're going to get 5 or 10 PKs maybe all year. So you don't really need to practice it with everybody, but I let everybody practice it. So we'll do different games where at the end everybody just takes one, or we'll do where if we were doing a drill where we were doing 2 teams anyway, I'd say, okay, pink team, give me your first 5, gray team, give me your first 5. And so they get to pick their order. They get to pick who's taking the PKs. And then I encourage them to, they all hover around the PK spot and they hurl taunts and jabs and just stuff, trying to just be as distracting as possible while they're taking PKs. And then we chart, we statistically keep up with even if it's just in practice and obviously in games, we keep up with that stat all year long. So every few weeks they'll always be like, Coach, what are my stats now? What are my stats? And I'm like, well, you're 4 out of 7 for the year. You're 10 out of 13 for the year. So yeah, we do work on that a lot.
Brian Messer in the on deck circle talking McIntosh and Dalton coming up here in a second. So my last question for you, what has study hall been like getting ready for West Forsyth?
Well, for some reason we have 2 days to prepare. So it's been a little bit of a crash course. And it's just weird. I guess when you get this far in, you're going to have switched film with these people anyway. And these coaches are great about sharing. And so he has film from me playing a team because I sent it to him because he had an opponent. And I have film from him because he sent me the Lambert film when we played Lambert. So I have that game. So that you have the film, you obviously want yesterday's film. So you try to get that, you email the coach, you're trying to set up the next time. So I've been emailing with Coach Galt about, when do you want to play? So we're doing Thursday at 7:00. You're disseminating all that information out to your athletic director and the booster club and the players and, everybody, just to try to let everybody know so they can start organizing. So minimal. And then you're, 18-month-old who needed a bit of attention today. So today and tonight will be probably the deepest dive I get into how we need to play.
All right. And looking forward to it. West Forsyth hosting North Gwinnett, right-hand side of the bracket in the semis with the girls. Once again, Ryan Burkhart on daddy duty at home, waiting for the relief from the bullpen at 2:00. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. And I know that you are a creature of habit. Thanks for coming on. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
All right. Good to see you.
There we go. So Ryan's going to go back on daddy duty. And so now, once again, hot tag, bang, bang. This is what we do. And so now, time to go to McIntosh and catch up with Brian Messer, friend of the network, friend of the show, friend of us all. And Brian, it is first off, thanks for letting us come and hang out later today for the matchup of the Blue Bloods, Dalton and McIntosh. What has study hall been like getting ready for this one?
A lot of injury recovery, obviously. A couple of rough first round games, getting beat up, but our team's coming together. Weekend was a good rest for us, and yesterday we had a really good practice. Spirits are high. Everybody's kind of shaking off the little injuries we have, and I think we're going to be at full strength tonight.
When it comes to McIntosh and the yearly expectations, managing all of that, and knowing that everyone is going to be coming after you with their best, because for them it is their World Cup final, it is their championship match, it is their Super Bowl, whatever title game you want to associate with. How do you and Bunky Colvin and the rest of the staff, how did you try to navigate all of that as a staff with your players, knowing that everyone's going to be coming at you at 190,000% every single match, whether it's match one or match now?
Yeah, I mean, we've always said that the state championships flow through McIntosh, and typically, if we get beat, before the final, it's the team that beats us is always in the final, and usually wins it. So this team's different because this is a brand new team. We graduated 17 last year, and this whole new squad coming up through the ranks of the 9th grade program and the JV team, they don't have the experience, and that's actually been a positive for us because there's no complacency, and they actually believe what we tell them. You get a guy that's a 4-year varsity starter, and they've heard it over and over and over again, and sometimes they have their own opinions, but these guys, they believe what we say, and they're buying into everything, and we're talking about what it takes to be a champion and to get to that final game number 23, and they're just listening and doing what we need them to do. It's kind of cool having a brand new squad with very little experience. I mean, 4 returning varsity players, none of which have been in a state championship, and that's what we've never had that, right? With the exception of the last 2 years, we don't go 2 years without being in a final. And so we always have experience to lead the younger guys. Now it's really just coming from us coaches and them believing what we're telling them and trying to execute it every day. And their attitudes they've got a great attitude. They want to win this game. They want to play on Friday and next Thursday. So I think we got a good shot.
And one of the things that you mentioned in that just now is the benefits of having that 9th grade squad. Not a lot of campuses in the state have a separate 9th grade squad that you can have as a reference point to work forward with. And I think that speaks to the benefit of having that particular element of your program down there at McIntosh to help you out, so the transition isn't as whiplashy, to create a word, as it might be when you lose 17 starters. You have that folks that are familiar with everything and can integrate and ease in, if you want to use those words. I think that speaks to the benefit of having something like that.
Yeah, it's very unique. I mean, there's very few schools in Georgia that have it. I know Johns Creek, who's been very successful this year. I think they have a 9th grade program. When we showed up at tryouts, we had 115 people that came out for tryouts, which is completely insane for a school that only has 1,500 students. And they want to be part of the program. There's so many of these kids coming up through AFC Lightning and Lasers Recreation and SSA and Concord. They want to be part of our program. So we give them the opportunity to keep more of those kids around by having a 20-person roster 9th grade team. And it's funny, we joke, and you'll see when you guys are out there tonight, our ball boys are our McIntosh elementary squad. I mean, it sounds silly that, ball boys are important, but these kids on the sidelines, they're getting to experience McIntosh soccer at a very young age. And as they come up through elementary and middle school, their goal is to be on this team one day. And it's no different than going to, Atlanta United games as a little kid and seeing and aspiring to be something bigger. And it's just fun. It's fun to see them. And, we've had so many ball boys that, over the years become varsity captains and win state championships. And we have pictures of them as ball boys holding a state championship trophy. And then later, the same picture of them being a senior captain holding the state championship trophy. So, and we go back and it's just kind of a cool thing we have going.
Assistant head coach for McIntosh on the boys side, Brian Messer, hanging out with us here. We've officially hit halftime, so we'll change ends and we'll attack the other way. When it comes to this time of the year, and I know that it's something that you and Bunky and the staff are used to at this point, but the quick turnaround and trying to get something done on the quick, on the fly, get everything prepared. As a program that is as successful as McIntosh is, how do you handle the quick turn? And I mean, I don't know if folks come to you from other programs and ask for advice about, we're an up-and-coming program. How do you guys handle X, Y, and Z so we can get to your level someday? But how do you guys handle the quick turn to make sure everyone is as healthy as they can be, as informed as they can be, and especially in a time crunch and an information crunch? How do you guys handle something like this?
We push our team pretty hard. Fitness, probably we push them harder fitness wise at this point in the season. And mainly it's because of the heat acclimation. We have to, they come out of spring break and, the games right before spring break were, 58 degrees and raining. And then they go out of town for a week, they come back and, all of a sudden it's high 70s in the 80s and there's humidity in the air. So we have to spend that week pushing hard. I like how they stagger the state playoffs. So it allows us to train very hard during those first two rounds. And we're pushing them. I mean, we're big on hydration. I mean, we made them drink 4 bottles of water during practice yesterday, just because when you get into May, which we've been many times, it's often the team that has depth and that can play in the heat and play the longest. All these teams that get to May have great players, but can they put 11 great players on the field at the same time? Can they last in the heat? When it's a physical game like we had last week and your starters go down, can you replace a starter with a player that is not going to give you a major drop off? And so our number 18, 19, 20, and 21 on our bench, they have really important roles right now. They have to be ready. They have to be able to step in. They have to train just as hard as everybody else so that when they're called upon, they can step on the field and contribute.
Assistant head coach for McIntosh, Brian Messer, hanging out with us for another couple of minutes. When I mention Dalton Catamount Soccer and Matt Cheeves, what comes to mind?
I mean, it's an elite legacy program. I mean, as the New York Times said, it's Soccer Town, USA. It's the team that, I don't know who has more state championships between us and them, but I look at them as like the team that beats Dalton is this could be like a state championship game tonight. It very, very well could be. And regardless of records, I know Dalton's dropped a couple this year, but Matt always has them ready to play. He always has a great game plan. He's a very experienced coach. He knows us well. He has a very, quick, organized team that has to play against probably one of the biggest teams that McIntosh has ever had. So my guess is he's spending a lot of time in the box because we're going to put the ball in the box quite a bit, and we're going to have a height advantage on most of his players. So that that'll definitely be part of our game plan because we do have them outsized quite a bit. And the biggest thing is we went up there and beat them earlier this year. That's beating Dalton twice in the same season is nearly impossible to do. an elite program like that. So we've got to play our very best tonight. Otherwise, we're not going to go to the semi on Friday.
6:15 pregame here on the SDH Network. 6:30 kick down at McIntosh. It is Blue Bloods, Central, Dalton, McIntosh, Catamounts and Chiefs. Brian Messer, the assistant head coach down there for McIntosh. Brian, it's always great to see you. We'll be seeing you later today. Thanks for hanging out and giving us the intel, getting ready for a big matchup here in Georgia high school soccer tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Go grab some lunch.
Thanks, John.
That's Brian. And so it's great to catch up with Coach Messer. And it's going to be a great environment tonight. Looking forward to it. Pre-game show once again. Maddie Cruz and myself. That is going to be 6:15. Jessica Charman, Jason Longshore is going to be them at 6:30, and that is going to be it's going to be a fantastic environment. Get there early. I'll recommend that. Get there early. Make sure that you've got your tickets. Make sure you can find a parking space, and I would also anticipate a fair amount of tailgating before everybody wanders into the stadium there at McIntosh. But it is going to be a fantastic environment, and we're going to be there tonight. Full coverage is going to be pre-half and post-game with me and Maddie, and once Jason and Jess recover, then we'll go through the brackets, and we'll let you know what it's going to be looking like for the semifinals on the boys' side on Friday. We'll see how many of the coaches that are with us today want to be with us on Friday to discuss things and continue their winning runs and all this kind of stuff. But very, very interesting tonight. Blue Blood Central, and I'm not saying this to sit there and try to be flippant about it, but it is. I mean, when you talk, and Brian talked about it. You combine the number of state titles with Dalton and McIntosh, and it is a large number. And what Dalton and McIntosh have done for the fabric of soccer in the state of Georgia across the board has been amazing over the last couple of decades, and seeing how the sport has continued to grow. But to be able to see Matt Chiefs and the Dalton Catamounts, Monkey Colvin, Brian Messer, Coach Brigg, and the McIntosh Chiefs going at it tonight, it's going to be a 15-round heavyweight fight, and I just dated myself with that reference. So going to be a great environment, and cannot wait to be there tonight to discuss what's going on with those two clubs. So once again, 6:15 pregame, pre-half and post, Madison Cruz and myself. The match itself, Jason Longshore, Jessica Charman on the call, 6:30, and we'll have updates at the half, and we will have a post-game show to let you set up how things are going to be on a semifinal Friday. Speaking of semifinal Friday, it is time to roll through the brackets on the boys' side, and we'll let you know what's going on there. And we'll start at the bottom in Class A D1. We'll work our way up to 7A. East Lawrence hosting Paideia today, upper left. East Lawrence, no problem with Bryan County in round 1, 2 goals better than Brooks County in round number 2. They're hosting Paideia this afternoon and tonight. Woodville Tompkins, we got to catch up with Coach Kalen Pinckney on the morning show and got his thoughts about what it's like for Woodville Tompkins to make the run that they have. Luis Lopez, keep an eye on him. He was very, very busy against Temple in the 7-2 win. They scored 6 in round 1, 7 in round 2. They're hosting Mount Vernon tonight. So Mount Vernon in a pack-a-lunch and a dinner trip to the coast to take on Woodville Tompkins down in Savannah. It's the left-hand side of the bracket in Class A D1. Right-hand side, Lamar County, who's had a fantastic season to date, boys and girls, survived a 7-goal shootout against Metter, hosting in Barnesville against Whitfield Academy. Whitfield Academy coming through as a 4 seed, knocking off Dalton Academy and Barrow Arts to get to this matchup with Lamar County. Atlanta International had no problem with Rabun County, put a lot of distance between themselves and the Wildcats. Rabun County, great season getting through as the number 3 team in Region 8. Atlanta International will host Jefferson County. Jeffco was the number 2 team in Region 2. They beat Claxton in round number 1. They beat Bacon County in a 7-goal shootout in round number 2. So Jeffco travels from Louisville to Atlanta. Class A D1, that one's going on today. We'll go over starting times coming up in just a little bit. Class A D2, Atlanta Classical goes to Alamo to take on Wheeler County. And that's going to be a good matchup as well. Atlanta Classical, team number 3. Wheeler County, team number 1 out of Area 2. So that's why Atlanta Classical is traveling to Alamo to take on the Bulldogs. And that one will be upper left. Fuji's Academy travels to Atkinson County. You want to talk to pack a lunch, a dinner, and maybe a midnight snack trip? Fuji's Academy had to go 11 rounds before beating Aquinas in penalties. It was 1-1 after 100 minutes. They go to PKs. Fuji's Academy wins at 11-10. So Fuji's Academy gets to go to Pearson, and they play Atkinson County. Atco beat Mount Zion Carroll by the final of 3-0 on the left-hand side of the bracket, Class A D2. Upper right, Macon County goes from Montezuma to Milledgeville. Macon County beat Montgomery County in Mount Vernon 4-2, and they travel to GMC, who is the number 3, Area 3 team number 1. So Georgia Military in their matchup, no problem in the shutout against Washington Wilkes. So Macon County's at Georgia Military. Low right, Eccles County. The Eccles County squad goes from Statenville to Christian Heritage. Eccles beat Portal 1-0. So now they have to pack a lunch, a dinner, and a midnight snack, travel from Statenville to Dalton. And if you've missed the explanation as to where Statenville is and where Eccles County is, look at it this way. Go to Valdosta. They're traveling south. There are 2 main Valdosta exits. There's the one that has all of the restaurants and everything. The next one, when you pass by Lowndes High School in the northbound lanes as you're traveling southbound, that next exit that takes you to the conference center. Take the Wiregrass Parkway straight out of town. Then go on the Wiregrass Parkway, and the first county that you meet on your way to Clinch County and then to Waycross and Ware County is Eccles. You go through Eccles County for about 5 minutes, then you're in Clinch County. First major intersection, turn right, go south, you're heading towards Statenville. So basically, Valdosta, go east, and add maybe 20 to 30 minutes. That's what you're doing when you're going from Eccles County to Christian Heritage in Dalton. Christian Heritage beat Chatco 5-1. Christian Heritage, the top team out of Area 4. Eccles, the number 2 team out of Area 1. So it was Atco, Eccles, Macon County, and Area 1 had team number 6 with Lanier. So you end up with Eccles County traveling to Christian Heritage low right. That takes you through Class A D2. Then AA boys, Fitzgerald's hosting Fellowship Christian. Fitzgerald beat Spencer 4-3 in round number 2. Fellowship beat Fannin County 5-1 in Blue Ridge. So Fitzgerald will continue upper left-hand corner. Low left, Drew Charter goes to Lions to take on Toombs and our friend Jeremy Moore. Toombs had no problems in either round. Scored 19 goals in their first 2 games against Kendrick and Berrien. And Toombs gets to host Drew Charter. Drew Charter comes through as the 3 seed out of Region 6. And they end up with a 3-2 win at East Jackson, a bit of a surprise. So Drew Charter goes to Lions to take on Toombs County, pack a lunch and a dinner. Model on the boys and the girls' sides doing very, very well. Model beat Union County 1-0. They host Pierce County, who went to Eatonton and beat Putnam County 2-1. So Model hosting Pierce County, upper right-hand side. Providence Christian goes to Jeff Davis. Caught up with Coach Lawson yesterday here on the noon show. And the Pinelands are stoked. Stoked, jacked, excited, ready to pack the place. Providence Christian, they had to go to PKs against the Walker School. After 100 minutes, had everything tied at 3. Providence Christian won 4-1 in PKs. They travel to Jeff Davis. Jeff Davis beat Appling County 5-4. Took them 100 minutes to do it. Hot crowd against Appling County. You're going to get a stacked house tonight in the Pinelands. As if you're wearing blue, you're as good as gold. Providence Christian, Jeff Davis. Keep an eye on that one. Low right in AA boys. AAA. Pike County and Coach Hobbs, they knocked off Thomasville in the previous round 2-1. In Zebulon, they host Bremen. Bremen went to Sandy Creek and won 3-0 as the number 2 team out of Region 6. Low left, Savannah Country Day, Hebron Christian. Savannah Country Day beat ARC 4-0. They travel to Hebron Christian. Hebron Christian shut out Dawson County, so Savannah Country Day is at Hebron Christian. Upper right, Oconee County beat Wesleyan 1-0, and they travel to catch up with Coach Paul and what's going on with Morgan County. I can't wait to see that crowd. I want pictures. Oconee County, Morgan County tonight. Morgan County came in as the top seed out of Region 4. Oconee County, the 2 team out of Region 8. So Watkinsville travels to Morgan County, and that one's going to be a fun one in upper right AAA. Low right, Coahulla Creek beat Monroe area. They travel to Columbus, so it's a busy couple of days for Columbus. Columbus shut out Mary Persons 3-0. Coahulla Creek gets the visit, so Dalton travels to Columbus. They're probably already on the road. Quad A boys. LaGrange beat Southeast Bullock in LaGrange 7-2. I imagine that one was at Callaway Stadium. They travel this time to Tunnel Hill to take on Northwest Whitfield. Northwest Whitfield beat Cedar Shoals 4-1. Whitewater went to the coast, beat Islands 5-1. They traveled to the Dungeon to take on Johnson Gainesville. You could have Johnson Gainesville, Northwest Whitfield for the semifinal on the left-hand side on Friday. Holy Innocents beat East Forsyth 3-2 at East Forsyth. They travel to Stars Mill. Stars Mill shut out Benedictine 4-0. Holy Innocents at Stars Mill. Westminster travels to Bainbridge. They're already on the road. I can guarantee you that. Bainbridge beat Wayne County 5-2. Westminster beat Lovett on the boys' side in the Battle of West Paces Ferry 2-0. Westminster and Bainbridge is quad. 5A boys. Eagles Landing at Midtown. The Flippin' Birds, as Jason calls them, beat Chambly 3-2 on the boys' side. Midtown beat Centennial 4-3. Midtown's hosting. McIntosh, Dalton. Once again, that's on our air. Dalton at McIntosh tonight. McIntosh beat Cross Keys 2-1. Dalton beat Clark Central 2-1. Dalton McIntosh, Blue Blood, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 kick on the SDH Network. Upper right, Cass and Tucker. Cass beat Chapel Hill, no problem. Scoring 7 in that one. They travel to Tucker. My guess is this one's at Adams Stadium in northeast Atlanta. Tucker beat Northgate 2-1. Low right, Chattahoochee hosting Decatur. Decatur beat Harris County 3-2. Remember, Decatur's a 4 seed. They came in Region 4, team number 4. Beat Greenbrier at Greenbrier round number 1. Beat Harris County and Hamilton round number 2. They travel to Chattahoochee, who shut out Heritage Conyers 6-0. Chattahoochee hosting Decatur low right in 5A. 6A boys. Glen Academy on the back end of the doubleheader, boys and girls playing St. Pius, beat Pius 5-4. So Glen Academy hosts Lassiter. Lassiter comes through as a 3 seed out of region number 7. They shut out South Paulding at South Paulding 2-0. Lassiter at Glen Academy, upper left, 6A. Woodward Academy hosting Sprayberry. Sprayberry went to Mount Airy. Say that 10 times fast. Was a poet, didn't know it. Sprayberry beat Hab Central 4-1. They travel to Woodward. Woodward beat Marist 3-1 in the Battle of the War Eagles. Upper right, Johns Creek. Top-ranked team out of Region 7. They go to North Atlanta because of equal seeding. North Atlanta beat Lee County in penalties in round 1, beat Grovetown in round 2, 5-0. They have not given up a goal in the postseason. Neither has Johns Creek. Something's got to give tonight. Johns Creek, North Atlanta. River Ridge hosting Riverwood. Riverwood, both the boys and the girls came through as 4 seeds in Region 4. Riverwood beat South Effingham in Guyton 3-0. Tonight they travel to River Ridge. River Ridge beat Gainesville 5-1 in round number 2. Riverwood at River Ridge, and that one is 6A. 7A boys. And we'll put a bow on the show here. Campbell hosting Lambert. Lambert beat Walton in Raider Valley. Campbell hosted South Gwinnett in 1-4-2. Low left, Archer went to PKs. Carrollton, second match in a row that they've been to PKs. They beat Hillgrove in round 1, 8-7. Lost 4-2 to Archer in PKs. Archer hosting Milton. Milton beat Collins Hill 1-0. Milton team 3 out of Region 6. That's why they are on the road. Discovery at Grayson, upper right. Discovery shut out Osborne 3-0. Grayson beat East Coweta by the final of 2-1. Discovery at Grayson, low right. Kennesaw Mountain at Colquitt County. So the Mustangs get to pack a lunch, a dinner, and a midnight stack. They're probably definitely on the road. And they beat North Gwinnett at home 2-1. Colquitt beat Pebblebrook 1-0. We got to catch up with the coach last week after that Pebblebrook win, anticipating a big crowd on campus. And it's at the new campus. Remember, the baseball facility, softball, soccer, it is at the new high school. If you're traveling down, it's at the new high school. So Kennesaw Mountain at Colquitt County, that is the last matchup, low right in 7A. So let's take a peek at the boys matchups tonight. Start times, just so you can have a good base of knowledge when it comes to start times, what to anticipate and where to anticipate it. Woodville Tompkins and Mount Vernon is at 5. Westminster and Bainbridge is 5:30, so they're definitely on the road. Atlanta International Jeffco is at 5:30. Savannah Country Day Hebron Christian is at 6, as is Eagles Landing and Midtown. Macon County and GMC. Dalton and McIntosh, 6:30 once again here on the network. Also at 6:30, Discovery and Grayson. 7 o'clock, Fellowship Christian and Fitzgerald. Whitewater and Johnson Gainesville. Riverwood and River Ridge. Sprayberry Woodward Academy. Johns Creek North Atlanta. Decatur Chattahoochee. LaGrange Northwest Whitfield. Glen Academy and Lassiter. 7:30s, Kennesaw Mountain, Colquitt. Oconee County, Morgan County. Bremen and Pike. Milton and Archer. Holy Innocents and Stars Mill are at 7:30. Handful of matches. We don't know the start times yet. It is Paideia and East Laurens. We do know the start time for Jeff Davis and their match. Just go to Jeff Davis Soccer on the 280-character app. 6 o'clock tonight. 5 hours from now, 6 o'clock tonight, Jeff Davis and Providence Christian moved up, obviously, because of travel. Pierce County and Model, Lamar County Whitfield Academy, Tucker and Cass, and Lambert and Campbell. Let me see if we have a start time for the matchup involving Tucker. That would come out from our friends at DeKalb County. So we'll see if DeKalb County has a start time. Let's see, there's golf, there's gymnastics. I get all the press releases from our folks at DeKalb County. So I'm trying to see baseball, tennis, soccer. So Tucker advances, go to the bottom of the release. Casson, Tucker, TBA, of course. This was about 6 days ago. So most of the action, 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30, a couple of 7s, but keep an eye and follow along on your local teams, and in that way, Milton Archer's at 7:30, as is Bremen and Pike and Oconee and Morgan, Kennesaw and Colquitt. So there are some 7:30s out there tonight. But keep an eye on your favorite schools. Keep an eye on what's going on. We'll have it all out there for you, starting at 6:15. 6:15 from McIntosh tonight. McIntosh hosting Dalton, and the winner advances out of the low left and gets one step closer to playing for a title on semifinals Friday. That's it for quarterfinals Tuesday. Quarterfinals Tuesday. And thanks to Coach Paul at Morgan County, Coach Burkhart at North Gwinnett, and Coach Messer from McIntosh to get you ready for the day. Ooh, it's going to be a big one. So thanks to all of you for hanging out with us and getting everybody on the same page when it comes to quarterfinals Tuesday here in the GHSA on the boys' side. Back at it again tomorrow at noon. We'll go over what happened on the boys' side, see if anybody wants to join, and we'll talk about what happened today, tomorrow. So thanks again for all of the input and everybody who's a part of the discussion. Mickey, best soccer stadium that I've been to? That's a good question before we go. The Azteca. Went to the Azteca for Atlanta United in CONCACAF Champions League and against Club America, and was fortunate enough to see them there. And I still have my turquoise Club America jersey to prove it. So it was a fun trip. So I would say by default, the Azteca. Back at it again noon tomorrow Eastern time. We'll go through what happened in the quarterfinals, get you ready for the semis, and find out what coaches got any sleep and what coaches didn't. Since it's the end of the show, mucho plati, I'll play it safe. That means I get to do this. See you at 6:15 tonight from McIntosh, Dalton and McIntosh, quarterfinals Tuesday here in the GHSA, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. See you a couple hours from now.